seems today that all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV. Where those good old-fashioned values that Etienne used to believe in.
Should we just start over?
Yeah, no. Okay. Let's let it stand.
Close enough for government work.
Hey there, everybody in the NATO Jesus, fuck me.
It was the NATO podcast.
It was last week. The TBD Podcast family. We're here with the first of our holiday season podcasts. And in this edition, we're going to be dealing with the confirmedly Christian work, Family Guy. And in our next episode, we're going to be dealing with a more pagan creation that you all know and love, and we'll get to that then. How are you, Etienne?
I'm okay. I've got a glass of whiskey, so soon I'm going to be better.
And for the record, for posterity, I also have a cup of whiskey here. We decided to get jolly early for the holidays. I mean, isn't Christmas just a state of mind? Shouldn't we let the three ghosts of Christmas, the past, present, and the future, live in us each day of the year, all 365, and not just the 25th of December? I mean, come on.
And, really, when you think about it, nothing says holidays like, a nice red color, and there's no real way to get red in the face like there is to get wicked fucking hammered.
No, it's true. I mean, you read A Christmas Carol. I mean, Bob Cratchit is giving his poor-ass starving children gin mixed with lemon juice. Makes them happy. Think about that.
I mean, they're children. They don't know any better.
Hey now. I think.
Can I get some more of that happy juice?
See, I'm a big believer in them bringing back that whole policy that they had in 19th century England, where they rationed orphans booze because booze was, medically good for you, and killed germs and kept the orphans compliant.
If we were back in the good old days of having like mead and shit, where there's actually like more nutrients in with the booze rather than it just being booze, I would be much more okay with that.
True.
But
it was a gallon of beer and a quart of gin a week, dude. For every orphan.
Think about that. So all you gotta do is collect you some orphans.
And then you got a business.
Hey, kid, I'll trade you that booze that you got there for this nice ham sandwich.
I mean, it was a money-making scheme, actually, throughout a lot of the 18th century in both France and England, was to take advantage of the burgeoning government support for orphans, and the government would pay you to, quote-unquote, take care of orphans.
I am aware.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I was referencing this in jest.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I'm sorry. I forget that you are historically knowledgeable.
Very much the case. And I mean, when you think about any period in history, like, there's a lot of money that's being made on the backs of fucking poor people.
Of course.
Whether they're orphaned or fucking... some hapless motherfucker in his 30s that just fucking working on a farmstead kept in indentured servitude.
No, it's very true.
But this is a Family Guy podcast, not a history podcast.
Going super dark. They've done some expansion on history.
Well, they even had that episode where Peter had the mice in the basement that he
So terrible. So terrible. There is no sun. The crops, they will not grow. You put me in a difficult situation, Armando. No, not the beloved. No. It is for the children. It's so twisted. Or the other one with Peter and the mice, with the gladiators, which has, like, arguably my favorite Peter line, which is the, yes, fight for me, I have everything and you have nothing. Which...
Yeah, and, honestly, we started this by talking about getting drunk, but I think that's probably, fucking every show they're going to the fucking Drunken Clam. Like...
Yeah.
we are so far both in the spirit of the holiday and in the spirit of family. I mean, the only way that we could be more Family Guy is if we were literally drinking, Pawtucket Patriot right now. But we're not.
Shitty pictures of not great beer. Which, hell, why not? Let's go do that later. I mean...
Do they actually
I've got a couple more organs
I
to
know
sell.
that they've made some fictitious beer brands, but I don't know if they've made Pawtucket Patriot.
No, they haven't. We just have to get Sam Adams, because that's what it is.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
damn it! I want to drink the parody, not the reality.
I mean, so would I. I wish I could drink parody instead of reality on the daily basis. There's a reason I watched nothing but Adult Swim for like a solid year and a half.
Anyways,
which is when I developed my love of Family Guy, by the way. So
really,
yeah,
it's interesting. I caught it on like its first run. Like I saw like the opening night of it because back in the day when it was first coming out, like I watched, the animation. I think it was even before it was dubbed the Animation Domination block, but like the late night block on Fox on Sunday. Like it was just habitual. Like I watched the new Simpsons.
Yeah.
And like whatever the fuck was on after that. So like I had, the first taste of Family Guy, and I enjoyed it, and the rest of my family really didn't. And like I don't blame them. I can certainly see why. But it was something that kind of stuck with me, and then it eventually ended up wearing a little thin. I think because of the writing, until something that you brought up probably a couple of months ago that kind of changed my mindset on it, and that's thinking of it as a sketch show, because I hadn't thought of it as a sketch show necessarily. I kind of thought of it like, okay, there's this through line plot, and there's a bunch of fucking cutaways that are just random as fuck in the middle of it, which there are a bunch of cutaways, and they are random as fuck. But I think if you think about it in the mindset of a sketch show, like, you can give them so much more leeway in terms of the writing and what it is, how it's put together.
Well, and definitely the earlier episodes had a lot more of the through line, but it's become much more of like almost an animated Mr. Show. I don't know if you've ever watched Mr. Show. Great old thing, Bob Odenkirk and... Oh, I feel like such an asshole not remembering the other guy's name. Oh... it's mega famous. Oh, man.
For sure.
Oh, I feel like an ass. Is it David Wayne?
I don't know. I mean, there's no way that we can really fact check.
I know his first name is David. Fuck! Alright, anyway. But yeah.
David Blaine.
David Blake. Daniel Radcliffe.
And it always comes back to horns.
It always will, at least for me. No, but it was a sketch comedy show that had every sketch fed into the next one through a connector.
Nice.
So it was this wonderful like stream of consciousness, weird morphing thing. Like, did you ever see Snake and Bacon?
No.
The single shot short they did on Adult Swim. Okay.
I know of it, but I don't think I ever actually watched it.
Okay, that's another thing that's like the same idea of a series of sketches that are strung together with this kind of weird through line. Or like older Sesame Street that had that like...
I don't think you've seen this one, but Snuff Box was something that came to mind when I was thinking about...
Oh, no, I'm not familiar with that.
It's a short-run BBC sketch comedy with Rich Fulcher and Matthew Berry.
Nice.
But like it was definitely like when I started to think of Family Guy in the vein of sketch comedy, I was like starting to remind me a lot of Snuffbox, which I really enjoyed Snuffbox. But
and that's it's a weird writing style, and I've definitely felt that the later seasons have been a lot weaker because it has become so much more about whatever individual joke they're trying to make in that moment than any kind of consistency. And you know me, I'm a pain in the ass for consistency. So that's bugged me in the later seasons, and that's why the first 5 are my absolute favorite, and I think are just pure gold.
Well, I think they've also they've always been about referential comedy, even self-referential comedy.
Yes.
But like they've gotten to a point like there was literally, I don't even know what the fuck episode it was, but there was one point where they referenced something and Stewie Griffin just turned to the camera and said, "Look it up." And I was like, God damn it, you're not even fucking trying.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I will admit I like a couple of those of those individual jokes of like that, where they directly break the fourth wall and are like, yeah, I guess in a week it'll probably all be back to normal. And like look straight at the camera. Or my personal favorite, which is, he's even angrier than Benjamin Disraeli. And then it cuts to Benjamin Disraeli and he looks up at the camera and goes, you don't even know who I am, do you? And shakes his head and then goes back to writing on his desk. And that was really funny for me because I'm a history guy, so I was like, Benjamin Disraeli. So, but again, like, I'm sorry, that was like a horrible witch laugh, and I just apologize.
I'm not offended. They might be. So you're looking the wrong way.
Yeah.
Look directly at the microphone.
I'm sorry, all of you out there. But I saw Family Guy once before that. Before I was in my I'm not sleeping, I'm watching Adult Swim every night, period. And it was with, when I was in 8th grade and I finally actually had, like, friends, which was amazing. I had a best friend, his name was Antonio, and I rode my bike up to his place, and he had a Family Guy collection. And we watched, it was the only time I ever saw it, like, for this whole period of my life, I watched the Pawtucket Patriot brewery episode, the original like Willy Wonka one with Pawtucket Pat. Watched the Drunk Talent one where Peter can only play the piano when he's shit-faced.
Oh, yes.
And there's one more from that season that I watched, and I can't remember what it was now. And I enjoyed it, but mainly I was enjoying having a friend and watching it with a friend. And, you know, I didn't see it for a few more years. And then, during the period where I was finally, like, set free from the fetters of only PBS.
And the TV was your friend.
And the TV was my friend. And I was an insomniac. I was watching the entirety of the Adult Swim with the repeat every single night. And I started watching a shit ton of Family Guy because it was there, and I dug on it a whole bunch. And I tried to show it to my mom, and she was like, I like Futurama. I hate every single character on Family Guy. They're all bad people. And I do agree with that, other than Chris. I think Chris is a good person at heart.
You'd say Chris is a better person than Meg?
Yes. Meg has a reason to be a bad person, but Meg is blatantly immoral. In a number of circumstances.
You know, I said that at first because Meg is the one that gets shit on, but like, yeah, there's the episode where she kidnaps Brian, and
there's a lot of episodes where she does some really fucking questionable moral stuff, and like, Chris is like a 13-year-old boy. And because of that, there's a bunch of stupid, dumbass shit that he does. He also has like some pretty severe mental problems. But at the end of the day, Chris is trying to be a good person. And Meg is just trying to survive. And I'm not saying that, like, Meg should be necessarily harshly judged, but the environment that she's been raised in has kind of turned her into just as bad of a person as the people around her. Because God knows Lois by the end of the, like, that's also part of the thing. People, they weren't all deplorable for the first couple of seasons. And they've all just become fucking deplorable. Because... yeah, but, you know, Chris doesn't, like, go out of his way to hurt people. All of the rest of them have. Like, I can't think of one example of Chris doing that. I mean, Meg repeatedly rapes people in that one episode.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things that, like, I fully admitted, like, after the fact that I said that. Yes, it was more like true. Meg gets shit on the most.
Yes, she does.
So there's a lot of times where you feel for her because it's just like, wow, you don't deserve as much shit as you get.
Yeah, and she doesn't.
And yes, Chris is probably the best person on there. I'm not gonna argue with that, but
he's vile. I mean,
well, yeah, it again, back to a couple months back when we were having this conversation, and we were talking about this in relation to American Dad.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, I don't really like any of the characters. I don't, have any feelings for them. I don't really follow them. And I was like, I don't really either. But at the same time, like, chalking it up against Family Guy, at least for me personally, I think there's more to like there. And I think there was more of a through line, which is why I was drawn to it.
There's definitely more of a through line. That one isn't as much of it's a situation comedy, not sketch. But that's also why, because I didn't really connect to any of the characters on American Dad, the fact that it is a progressive storyline dealing with those characters for a long time turned me off. And seeing the later seasons, I've really enjoyed every episode I've watched from the later seasons. It was just when I watched the first, season and a half, I think, I was very disappointed and was just like, I feel like it's like Family Guy, but you cut out half the jokes.
Yeah, I think part of it, too, with the way it is now is, Family Guy is not going to be canceled in the foreseeable future.
No, it's going to do with Simpsons.
I think that Seth MacFarlane knows this and has been devoting much more time to the American Dad, which is why it's been better, at least better compared to what Family Guy's been later on.
Well, and all of the other projects that he's done. I mean, there was a point where he had 3 network shows. I enjoyed the Cleveland show. I didn't think it was great, but I definitely enjoyed the episodes that I watched. Which is, I guess, the whole first season?
For sure.
But there was a point where he had 3 network shows on, and he was doing a movie, and he was producing an album, and he was on tour. That's an absurd amount of work for any person to be doing. And he was working on, at that point, trying to do a reboot of The Three Stooges, which I think is still in the works, but it got backburnered because he was doing too much shit. And, again, guy's incredibly talented, but there's only so much energy you can put into each thing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I feel like he was literally okay, I really don't give a shit about Family Guy. It's going to be end of the writing day when everyone is shit-faced and on the come down from the coke and smoking bong loads. Be all right, let's come up with 15 shitty jokes and that's our Family Guy episode. And, sometimes it turned out really well and sometimes it's execrable. It's my word of the day, execrable. But yeah, I definitely agree with you there that it's gotten the Family Guy's gotten the short shift on short shrift. Fuck, that whiskey is affecting me quickly. Short shrift in terms of writing in the Seth MacFarlane pantheon, and that American Dad definitely got a huge boost in that. Especially after, the first season, he started really putting work into, making that show better. And Family Guy just kind of got backburnered and has repeatedly burned. So...
Yeah, I definitely would agree with, what you were saying earlier of him being funny, incredibly talented, and overworking himself.
Yes.
And I think it's unfortunate. And it's something that happens to a lot of people. I mean, it happened to fucking Matt and Trey.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm complete agreement.
But it's also not, I don't think it's a viable excuse.
Well, he made the choice. Didn't nobody force him into that cave at gunpoint. He walked into it. And I mean, I do still think he should be held account to it. And that's not to say that there aren't specific episodes in the later seasons of Family Guy that did show, a huge amount of work. The Stewie Bryan episodes always were they always put a huge amount of work into it. Stewie and Brian, the episode, is, I think, a fucking beautiful piece of film. For all of the Family Guy-ishness of it. And I felt it was stark, and it was real, and it was beautifully put together. And then there were fewer. I thought was genius. They put a ton of work into that episode.
I don't remember that one off the top of my head.
It's the one that's literally 10 Little Indians, but it's Diane.
Way later on.
Yeah, from the news.
The whole
murdering people.
Mansion.
Yeah, with James Woods and the whole nine. Again, another episode that they put a ton of money into, they put a ton of work into, they really crafted it. And those are the episodes that I can be okay, yeah, no, you had an idea and you were okay, let's put the real time into it. But still most of it is filler, and that pisses me off. And that even pisses me off in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which I will sing the praises of all goddamn day, every single day of the goddamn week, 52 weeks a year. But a full third of the screen time of the 7th season is music videos of Vic Fontaine singing lounge songs. And...
But at least it wasn't written by manatees.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was written by lemurs. That last season, at least, there's some good ones, but there's also like it also has just the nastiest hookup. That's spoilers, and I'm not gonna put that out because I still want you to watch Deep Space Nine at some point so we can feature it on this podcast.
I still think it's funny. The only time that I've watched Deep Space Nine, you were not around.
I know, which is funny. But should do it sometime. I'll marathon a season with you, dog. I don't even care. Like, I'm into it. I was hanging out with James.
That's like a weekend, man.
Yeah. So it's like a day. It's slightly less than a day straight.
Yes. And there's no physical conceivable way that we're going to watch something for a day straight. There's the mathematical, you got to get up to take a shit, you got to get up to eat. Like,
okay, there'll be a couple of breaks.
There's probably going to pass out somewhere in between, whether you want to or not.
Nah. That's why God made energy drinks, man. That's what it's all about. I did this son of a bitch when episode 3 came out in theaters. I watched episode 1, episode 2. The original hand-animated Clone Wars done by the guys who did Samurai Jack. Then we went to the theater and watched episode 3. We came home and watched episode 4. And episode 5. And episode 6. I was the only one who made it to the end. But god damn it, I made it to the end.
Okay, whether or not you can do it, I don't know if I can, and that's the whole point
totally
of this marathon.
Yes, that's valid. So that would have to be a weekend where we literally just, like, seclude ourselves and have, like, a whole bunch of pre-frozen pizzas and... You know,
as opposed to pizzas that we freeze.
Yes, we made them ourselves and froze them. Hey, man, my sister used to run a pizza business.
On to Star Wars, specifically in regards to Family Guy.
Yes.
Their parodies were fucking excellent. Blue Harvest is the only one that I remember off the top of my head. But there was others, and they had names.
There was Blue Harvest, there was something Dark Side, and there was... I don't remember. Okay. I loved the first 2, and I thought the third one was awful.
For sure.
And it's funny because after the fact, I was reading up about it because I was like, the third one just fell flat, and it felt like they just didn't give a shit. And I looked up online, and Seth MacFarlane didn't want to do the third one, but was contractually obligated to, so we put no work into it. And I was like, okay, that's funny. Like, that totally explains my reaction to this. But, yeah, I thought that the first 2 were, like, pitch perfect. And then the third one was just kind of like, meh. And the Robot Chicken was just...
Well, yeah, Robot Chicken was spot on, and I also loved the whole fucking ribbing at the end with fucking Chris.
Fuck you, Dad! Yeah, that's like very
Robot Chicken do this a few months ago?
I'm not familiar with that program. Come on, it's been on for years. It's on Adult Swim. What is that? Was that a network? I don't know what that is. Robot Chicken sucks. Fuck you, Dad! I love that. Because the two of them do collaborate on, like, everything they do, which is part of the beauty of it.
There's the whole bit when, like, they're out of a job because they've been fired again on Robot Chicken.
Yeah,
and, you know, they're fucking coming to him for, like, you know, can we get a job writing for you on fucking Family Guy?
Yeah, and it's just a series of cutaways where, like, he's given them things. Yeah, no, it was beautiful. Or just the fact he does do a lot of voices on Robot Chicken, which is always nice when he pops up on there. Well, yeah, I'm sure.
Again, say what you want about Seth MacFarlane, say what you want about certain things that he's done, but I do think he is mega talented, mega funny, and a cool dude.
Well,
I mean, not related to anything. Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say is, like, you know, when Cosmos was first getting its back into the swing of things, like, he was promoting Cosmos and talking about science and Neil deGrasse Tyson and shit. I was like, fuck, like, whole new level of respect for you. And, like, there's always been, like, shit worked in through, like, the time travel stuff that they do.
Yeah.
Or, like, you know, occasionally using Brian as an intelligent vehicle when he's not being a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, in the first few seasons, I loved that because he was really the voice of the author type character in the same way that Stan and Kyle were, especially for the first several seasons of South Park, voices of Matt and Trey.
Sorry, I just... I thought about saying that too. Their voices are Matt and Trey because they're voiced by Matt and Trey.
Yeah, you can go fuck yourself. But no. Yeah, it's very true. In the same way, like Brian is again like the closest to his actual real vocal quality, and was obviously being the voice of him in that. And I think that like from all accounts, he is a really really chill guy to hang out with. I went to high school with the brother of one of the guys who does like a ton of the guest voices on the show. He's former child star, who's friends with Seth MacFarlane. And they've been smoking buddies for years. So, yeah, like, I heard a number of stories about them hanging that, apparently mega chill to kick it with. I know that Patrick Stewart and him kick it, which is a damn fine vote of approval for me in just about every way. There's definitely some elements of... He falls into the trap of being, like... transgressiveness is by definition funny, and I think that that's true, but I think that there's also a certain subtlety to the application of transgressiveness as humor, and there are definitely times where he's come at it with a sledgehammer, and it's been like, that wasn't actually funny, you just kind of crapped all over this thing. Like his Oscars, hosting the Oscars, I didn't find any of those jokes funny. And I mean, I don't watch the Oscars usually, but like I heard a lot of like fuss about it, like a lot of people saying it was good, a lot of people saying it was bad, so I like checked out a whole bunch of his jokes from it, and I was like, these were all just kind of like the bad end of the stock jokes that you've thrown into Family Guy episodes, but okay. And I mean, like, I have a lot of respect for the guy. Huge amount of respect. Credible voice. Obviously classically trained.
Yeah. Like, in terms of voicing characters and singing. Like, it's funny, too, when you're watching something and, like, you are singing two different parts as two different characters. Like, what the fuck, dude?
And with truly different vocal qualities that you can differentiate. Like, really, really talented. He's one of those people who has the chameleon voice and can just do all kinds of crazy shit. I have a huge amount of respect for that, and the musical work that he's done. Like, he actually does, like, a bunch of the orchestration on the songs. A huge amount of respect for the guy. And there's some side point that I was going to make based off of the voice. Oh, did you see the Inside the Actors Studio with the cast of Family Guy?
No.
Fucking amazing. Because most of it is just James Lipton asking questions of the characters. So it's like the actors being like, God damn it. And like having to act out the characters inside the Actors Studio. And so they had Seth MacFarlane do Brian and Peter and Stewie. And it was just a fun little thing also looking at all of their improv talents. Because they had also, they had Meg... the actress who plays Meg, whose name is escaping me at the moment. I'm sorry, no, they didn't have Meg. I'm sorry, Lois. They had the actress who played Lois, whose name is escaping me right now.
Alex Borstein or whatever the fuck?
Maybe? I don't remember. And they had Seth Green, and they also had the dude who plays both Cleveland and Herbert. And they had him do the voices of Cleveland and Herbert, which was fun having both. I'll have to send it to you. It's absolutely great. It's on YouTube. People listening, check it out. Fucking fantastic clip. And I have to say, I was more impressed with Seth MacFarlane's improv than with Seth Green's, which was disappointing to me. But Seth Green did do a great job of improving in the character of Chris, but it wasn't quite as snappy. Which was, again, like,
I also think that the voice of Chris is probably a bit harder to do.
Oh, just off the cuff? Yeah. Well, it was originally based on Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs.
I had heard that.
Yeah. Which you can definitely hear in the first, 2 seasons. Less so later.
Speaking of early on, something that I definitely missed was how verbose and psychopathic Stewie was. in the first few seasons, and how it's like gone away, and he's been like more like an awkward homosexual.
It's the awkward effeminacy, which has been somewhat funny, because the whole joke is that he's pre-sexual. So, who knows what he is, who knows what's going on. But, because all of the adult versions that you see of Stewie, he is very much straight. Though still weirdly... effeminate.
The time travel one where he hasn't gotten laid yet.
Yeah, and that whole thing. But, like... Yeah, I definitely miss the pureness of that character as the archetype of the evil baby.
Blast you, firewoman!
Yeah. Well, the whole first birthday episode, which is just one of my all-time favorites, where he has the whole, like, threat, like, sequence of, like, stalking the cult leader after he goes into the house. It's like, I want out! Oh, do you? You want an escape? I'm afraid we're all out of that. All we have left is a painful death. Just everything with that I thought was brilliant. And his character became more soft-edged. And Brian's character became more stupid and self-obsessed. Peter's character became completely self-focused. And Lois's character just turned vicious. Like, just plain vicious.
I definitely buy the self-obsessed thing. I don't know that necessarily Brian is stupid. It almost seems to be like flip a fucking coin as to what he is. Like,
and that's
either
he's
intelligent and has a point, or he's just one of those pretentious, like, oh, you know, I'm all about this way of life, so I'm acting in this sort of way. Oh, I'm a writer, but I haven't fucking done anything, and oh, my writing's actually shit. And
but, like, virtually every episode I can think of from the later seasons that is a Brian-centric episode is about how Brian is a pretentious piece of shit who doesn't actually know anything. It's all just
a fucking facade.
Yeah. And I do miss the fact that in the early seasons that, like, there were a couple of Brian-centric episodes that deal with the fact that he is fucked up and he is, you know, kind of up his own ass on a bunch of stuff. But he is actually intelligent. He does have a point. He is trying to, you know, if I called 911, you aren't going to learn anything. That joke. For those not initiated, the joke cuts to, it's like, that time I made a slip and slide indoors. And Peter has pulled the hoses from the yard upstairs through the window and is shooting water down the stairs. He yells to Brian, who's watching TV downstairs, like, "Hey, Brian, I made a slip and slide, yeah!" And he throws himself down the stairs. And obviously what happens if you were to throw yourself down the stairs happens. And he lies at the bottom in a broken heap, sobbing. And Brian's response is to continue watching television and say, if I call 911, you won't learn anything. And then there's a long sequence of him watching TV while Peter weeps. And that, for me, was pure comedy gold. Pure comedy gold. It's like when Cartman on South Park loses everything.
Yes.
Every time. Pure comedy gold. The episode where he gets the $1 million, buys the theme park, and at the end they take it away.
Right, and the whole fucking episode, Kyle's like has a hernia and like can't fucking do anything. It is like I can't believe that like I would live in a world where like this would be allowed to happen. Yeah. I can't believe God wouldn't allow this to happen.
Yeah, he loses faith in God and everything. And there's that final moment where they bring him there and Cartman is weeping on the ground, pounding, and he just goes, "There is a God." And like gets out of bed concealed.
You know, he was only brought up so he could be allowed to fall that much further, that much harder.
Yes.
Can you pass the whiskey?
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm so sorry. I was wondering why you had gone so quiet. And that's definitely a through line for South Park for me, is that I love the episodes where Cartman loses. I hate the episodes where he wins.
Yes.
And that's, like, universally true for me. And none so... I don't think that there's a single better example than that. Example is an episode that I love. It's, like, in my top, like, 3 or 4. And Scott Tenorman Must Die is like hands down my least favorite fucking episode.
They did to prove that Cartman is the worst kid.
Which I get, and they definitely proved that he was the worst kid. But at the end of it, Cartman walks away scot-free.
Until several seasons later, and I think I've told you about this, where
you might have?
You find out that he inadvertently killed and fed his dad to his like half-brother.
Oh god, so Scott Tenorman's dad was his real father.
Yep.
Oh my god, no, I didn't know that. There was a whole episode where they were trying to figure out his father, and then it turned out that his mother was a hermaphrodite.
And that was a cover-up because Cartman hated gingers or something. I forget like the like through line, like he didn't want to find out.
How it was. Okay, and that explains his pathological hatred of the ginger race until, of course, the gingivitis episode.
When he believes he is ginger. Even though he is biologically half ginger, which isn't a thing.
So he's a
because
daywalker.
That's not how genes work, but...
Yes, it is. He's a daywalker.
He's Wesley Snipes.
At the end of the day,
I would love that, actually, if Wesley Snipes just voiced Cartman, just for like an episode.
For like one single episode, and they're like, what's up, Cartman? Nothing. What? Fuck happened to your voice, dude? Like, that would actually be really fun, finding out a way to use that, like Wesley Snipes voicing Cartman, and then suddenly voicing Kyle. Suddenly everyone becomes Wesley Snipes.
I'm sorry, mailmen do as they are wont to do.
And beagles do as they are wont to do to mailmen.
Well, no.
No, that would be more assault and probably animal charges. But, where were we? Oh, I feel like there is a little bit of Wesley Snipes inside all of us. I mean, everyone, wants to be a badass vampire that, slaughters other vampires for the common good as a, tortured anti-hero. Everybody wants to be a criminal frozen in cryogenic slumber and then awakened in a future with no crime so that they're able to steal from everybody. Everyone wants to cheat on their taxes a little bit. Like, it's one of those things. I believe in Wesley Snipes. I think Wesley Snipes believes in all of us, too.
Oh, so to keep the theme alive, Wesley Snipes 2016.
Yes, no, I'll put him on the ticket, dog. Put him second. Oh, that's going to be hard because we need Bernie on top. And then Wesley Snipes.
But Wesley Snipes is not a number 2, man.
No, that's the problem. Like, maybe we should just go back to the tripart system. Have fucking Wesley Snipes, fucking Meryl Streep, fucking Bernie Sanders run the country as a triumvirate. Like, Ben Franklin was for it. Man, we've gone back to history again. I'm so sorry. I'm all over the place. Seriously though, look it up. Ben Franklin wanted there to be 3 presidents.
I thought you were going to say, seriously, look it up. Wesley Snipes, Meryl Streep, Bernie Sanders. This is the future for America.
I mean, seriously, look at all of their political platforms. If you combine them into like one like hideous Voltron of politics, like you'll be into it.
I'm glad
you
got me to beat me to the transforming multi-parted robot.
Sorry, I had to.
That's where I was headed next.
Well, and I'm glad that we ended up using Voltron instead of Megazord, because fuck the Megazord.
Yeah, we could have kept it vaguely Family Guy themed and gone on the tangent to Titan Maximum of Seth Green's creation.
Oh, I actually never saw it.
You should. It's
for sure
pretty funny. But,
okay.
It's the only way I can loosely connect the dots.
All the way to the Titan. That was one that was on Cartoon Network proper, right?
No, it was on
Adult Swim.
It was raunchy.
Okay. All right. Wow. That's definitely one that I want to check out. Because that was around the time that I stopped having access to a TV, was when that was coming out. Which was also around the time that Adult Swim was like, hey guys, we no longer show it if you don't have a cable subscription. And now I'm in the boat of, hey, my computer won't play the video player.
My computer is a toaster.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a toaster with a CD drive in it. Something absurd. It's like a 32-speed disk drive. It's bad. It's just all around stupid. Yeah. Classic technology.
Excellent.
Yes. It's
But since it is nearing Christmas, since we are on topic of Family Guy,
yes,
that I believe it was the first Christmas special that they did, the Kiss Save Santa.
Ha! Yes, I think it was their first special. I want Kiss Save Santa to be a real thing. Like,
I do too.
And truly. Whether or not Gene Simmons really has been implicated in a child sex ring with cocaine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it wasn't, like, I mean, there haven't been any follow-up charges,
right.
So, like, I'm hoping Gene is exonerated, because the whole first thing was just, like, a bunch of his property got searched, and apparently somebody else had, like, brought child porn in. And
well, I thought it was in connection to the Jared thing that went down.
I think it was a separate probe. It was just happening at the same time, which is, I mean, truly a remarkable coincidence. But then again, I mean, there's got to be quite a few, layers of separation between Jared.
I was going to say, I can't imagine Jared Fogle and Gene Simmons hanging out.
Yeah, like, hey, I went to the Subway one day, and there was Jared, and I pulled out blow, and he pulled out a blunt, and the rest, as they say, is child rape.
I still can't believe that Kiss owns an arena football team in L.A.
What?
It's the L.A. Kiss. It's a thing.
It exists?
It exists. Look it up.
You're shitting me.
No.
So they don't have a home. They just practice in Gene Simmons' yard? Like, what's...
No, I think they have an actual stadium. I don't know where exactly they play. I remember, like, Gene Simmons buying the team and, like, a whole interview about it and everything. Like, I don't follow arena football for jack shit. I just think it's funny that Kiss bought an arena football team because fuck it.
What the hell? So I do have to ask, because this is from the ignorant layman. What's the difference between pro football and arena football?
It's a rules difference.
Okay.
There's a couple different. There's basically no like sideline in arena football, and there's a couple. I don't follow arena football, so I don't know all the differences. But one of them is the sideline one, and there's
so like you don't have backups for your
with
team.
The end
you
zone.
Just have your guys on the field.
I think so. I think it more has to deal with just the boundary. I don't know. You might have guys in the fucking locker room. I don't know. But fortunately and unfortunately, I'm stuck watching NFL because it's where the top athletes in the sport go, because it's the most well-known. It makes you the most money.
NFL is an incredible, giant advertising machine that's able to pay their players millions of dollars.
It's a horrible monster.
Yeah, it is. It's
But I love the sport of football, and unless I want to start watching the CFL, which only has like 6 teams.
Yeah. Well, and that's, again.
This is what I get.
Because I love this ball. Oh. But no, I mean, it totally makes sense. It's where the top athletes are, so regardless of the fact that it's a shitty organization and their policies are crap.
Whose mantra is, we're less corrupt than FIFA. Great, you want a cookie?
That's
not their actual mantra.
I was gonna say, I'm like, while that's undeniably true, I wouldn't, let's advertise it like, hey, we're not the Nazis quite. Like, all right, thanks, guy. Thanks a ton. Yeah.
Ku Klux Klan, no successful genocide.
yeah. Do you hear about one of the grand dragons of the Ku Klux Klan came out and officially stated that, the anonymous hacktivist group are just a bunch of cowards hiding behind stupid masks?
No, but that's fucking hilarious.
The true deep irony of the fact that he didn't get the deep irony of that? Ooh, delicious. Delicious. You could spread it on biscuits.
It is indeed what butters my muffin.
Oh, man. Well, that's, again, there have been a bunch of fun things with that. Speaking of the Nazis, another fun little sideline. American Nazi Party recently came out. Talking about Donald Trump. I think I mentioned this to you the other day.
You did.
But I didn't mention it to all of you beautiful people in the world land.
Turkmenistan.
Yes, where our main viewership is. And to any viewers in Turkmenistan, we do actually very much value you. We're drunk.
I'd like to imagine that half of our viewers are in Turkmenistan, just because.
Yeah, well, it'd be beautiful. It would also be horribly incongruous. But and our damn YouTube viewership certainly ain't showing it.
Well, I said half of our viewers were in Turkmenistan. No. So not half of our viewership was Turkmenistan.
Okay, no, that's true. If we could get Turkmenistan as a whole as half of our viewership, I'm into it. That's like...
We just need to start sending letters to their government if they mandate TBD in all the households.
We'll win. We will win. Is Turkmenistan the one where the dictator... just started changing random words to be his name and, like, his dog's name and, like, renamed October after himself and, like, put himself in the Bible?
I have no idea.
I don't remember. It's one of the Central Asian nations.
I can damn well guarantee you that that's whatever the fuck the dictator was based off of.
Yes. Pretty much. That's yeah. Well, all of those, like, not all of them, several of those Central Asian nations have, like, some pretty wacky dictators. But jumping way back, American Nazi Party, Donald Trump, American Nazi Party, leader of the American Nazi Party, came out and officially stated that Donald Trump's campaign platform of getting, it's not his entire platform, but part of it being to block all Muslims from coming into the nation and, like, register Muslims was unlikely. Because it's just not practical. I mean, he'd have to rule by presidential order, and, it's just not a popular enough decision that it's going to happen. And I loved both the fact that the head of the American Nazi Party had to, like, officially come out, and he definitely didn't come out against it. He was like, great idea, but it's just not practical, man. Like, you gotta start small, baby steps building the Reich. And, I appreciated the honesty.
That was his exact words.
I'm paraphrasing. But, I enjoyed that little bit of, like, not only, like, it's both funny in that he didn't deny it. Like, he definitely didn't come out against it, nor strongly in favor of it, but it was definitely like, oh, no, we agree with you. But he was like, no, your strategy's all wrong.
Did you hear that Putin referred to Trump as the unquestioned frontrunner of the U.S. presidential election?
No, that doesn't surprise me. Putin doesn't have a great understanding of our political system, just as our politicians don't have a great understanding of the Russian political system. Don't nobody pay attention no more? Like, it's a bunch of guys with blindfolds running around a giant room, randomly swinging foam-covered bats in the
So they're
junk.
LARPing.
Yes, essentially. Blindfolded LARPing in the pitch black with spray paint and hookers, cocaine spray guns.
Well, part of me wonders what that's going to do to... I mean, it's probably just a fucking splash in the water, but, like, what fucking Putin weighing in on the presidential election on the side of Trump will do to Trump's campaign.
Did he actually, like, say Trump was a good option?
There were some things in there that were favorable. I don't remember the exact quotes from them.
Interesting. Fuck.
But, like...
They're creating, like, a bad hair coalition across the... across the land bridge. They're going to build the land bridge, Etienne. We'll get the land bridge, but...
And soon, literally, Sarah Palin will be able to see Russia from her house.
Yeah, because she's just going to build a giant mansion, which will be the land bridge. You're going to have to go across her property and pay her a toll.
I was going to say...
3 wolf pelts and your firstborn child for her goulash.
Oh, God. But it'll be interesting to see what that does, if anything, to Trump. Because, I mean, there's got to be some fucking people that are backing him that don't view Russia and Putin
favorably
in a good light.
Yeah. Well, considering, the number of people who are rapidly going, like, Russia's coming for us, we're next after Georgia. And, like...
Because geography.
Yeah. I mean, Georgia's in Europe, in the south. It's the same place.
Half
the nation of Georgia was conquered during the Cold War.
Actually,
I mean,
that's
why do you think Vietnam happened?
95% of people that back Trump probably don't know that Georgia is anything besides a southern state.
Yeah, that's true. Like, regional governor in Georgia protests Russian interference. How dare they violate our borders? This is true.
We've gotten so far off topic. I mean, it's kind of funny. Don't get me wrong.
No, but
it's not funny.
Widely, it's to quote a wonderful play called The Loman Family Picnic. It's not something funny, ha ha. I mean something funny, sad. Like, that's funny. Oh God. But I think that this is all truly in the spirit of Family Guy. I mean, we're mocking modern politics and cutaways, like short, like, hey, did you hear about this thing? Hitler juggling fish on a unicycle, which was one of my favorite cutaways.
Excellent.
Because of the bait and switch, or rather, the Kansas City shuffle that they were able to create with it. Which, again, for the uninitiated listening, there's a cutaway gag where they're like, man, you just do all these stupid cutaway gags. And it cuts away to Hitler on a unicycle juggling fish to, like, circus music. And later in the episode, it's, I believe Peter goes like, yeah, it's like that time I stopped Hitler. And it cuts back to Hitler on the unicycle juggling the fish to the circus music, and Peter walks up and knocks him over. And then he turns and looks at the camera and is like, see? We had something for it. And I loved that. I thought that was beautiful. They closed the loop. Like they do with the vaudeville guys. Except they didn't close the loop. They came back from hell.
I was going to say that's almost the reverse of what they do with the Michael J. Fox bit when they have the cutaway with Michael J. Fox, and they're like, actually, we're not going to show. We have the clip, but we're not going to show that. Yeah. It wouldn't be classy. Wait, no, I've been told we have the clip. We're going to show it.
No, which was a good one. Tasteless.
Oh,
but yeah,
Parkinson's is a bitch.
Yes. Well, and I mean, much of the show was tasteless, which I think is part of the aesthetic.
And it's the complete fucking irony from the opening song.
Yeah, which is the point. Yeah. And that's the, again, I think that good balance of the tastelessness, but also having craft about it, that really made middle Family Guy super strong. And again, I haven't been up on the last couple of seasons. Andrew, who you listeners remember was with us when we were discussing
Sean William Scott.
Yeah, Sean William Scott. I believe he's watched all the modern episodes, but I have not actually sat down and done it. So, I can't comment on them.
I've seen a lot. It's one of those things that, like, it's something that's familiar enough, yet still entertaining, that, it, you know, I can't sleep. You know, I'll put on some Family Guy on Netflix and just pass out to watching Family Guy on Netflix. You know, it's got enough of the entertainment mixed with the, like, drone of familiarity that you can still pass out to it.
No, I definitely agree. And I do go through... I cycle through my animated shows and I, like, binge through a huge chunk of it and then, like, move on. But for me, for Family Guy, I always rewatch the first few seasons, which is why I can quote a ton of it ad nauseum from those first few seasons. And then the later stuff, I remember episodes, but I don't necessarily remember the details. I've, like, watched, I think, through season 8 or 9 several times, and I've watched the first 5 seasons, like... 30.
Well, the other thing too is, I mean, we've talked so much about shows with them being established and being around for so long. Like Family, there's so many fucking episodes.
Yeah,
that it's almost impossible to have that library of knowledge inside of your head.
Well, unless we could all become Data.
Yes, but until they replace my brain with a positronic brain. It's not
okay, yeah,
possible.
no. I mean, true. But, yeah, it's difficult to have that truly encyclopedic knowledge of it now.
And,
Though, it is possible, because I've met people who can do it with The Simpsons.
Which has been going on even longer.
Yeah. But, I'm sorry, you were going to make a side point.
I was going to say, even if we could all become like Data, that doesn't mean that we're going to work out well, because, look at his brother. But
yeah. I mean, I'd like to think that, we wouldn't suddenly instantly become evil because of our ennui and our incipient superpowers. But, I mean, it's definitely a great way to have
I would like to have a small contingent of the Borg at my beck and call.
I mean, that'd be pretty fucking sweet. I wonder if he hadn't been an asshole, if he'd actually, taught them, good things instead of obey me and give in to your anger.
Other than, this is good, and if you don't do what I say, I'm going to take away the good. And
yeah, you're all addicted to emotion now. Give in to your anger. It is literally just the dark side. But I mean, there's a lot of things to admire about lore. Except for, the mass murder and the betrayal and the mass murder and the betrayal.
There's a lot of things to admire about him, except for everything.
I admire his commitment.
You admire the fact that he's still Brent Spiner?
Yes. Okay, there's that. I will always admire Brent Spiner and all of his creations, save for, as we discussed,
when we watched Trekkies, the chick who was the head of the Spiner fence.
Oh my god, yeah, and had been photographing him from a distance, and it's I just walk out on the balcony when I need my Brent time. And I bought this house because, it has a view of his house, across the valley. And, my husband doesn't really understand, but he lets me have my space. And I was like, that is so far beyond.
I mean, if your husband understood, I would have more fucking questions.
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of, husband and wife, strange data cuckold fantasy. I mean, I could see how that could form in a certain kind of relationship. And
if that were a possibility, if they actually knew him, maybe, but as a strange distance, stalking fantasy,
yeah, it's still
there
pretty
is a
gnarly.
Distinct, there's a rift there.
Yeah, no, there is definitely there's a wide rift between that, and yeah, it is a little bit. The stalking is not exactly okay. By not exactly okay, I mean it's really not okay.
Yeah, she didn't exactly go to say it's not like I look up at the night sky and I just see the stars and I wonder if he's out there looking at the same stars as me. I mean, she didn't say she strips down naked and presses herself cold against the glass and imagines that it's the frame of Lieutenant Data.
He's designed to be warm and have a heartbeat.
Well, true.
He's been programmed with a number of different pleasure programs.
Right. She doesn't dress up as Tasha Yar.
And attempt to seduce him while drunk. Who knows? It was his only experience. Sorry, Brent. I know that we're equating you with your film persona from that one show you did all those years ago, and you still have to go to conventions for. But we do appreciate your work as an actor, and I do truly wish that I'd had the courage to go up and ask you for your autograph in that bar in Silver Lake.
I think it's one of those things, though, that, you play a character for so long, and like it or not, it starts to become a part of you. It doesn't necessarily define you, but, there will always be, I spent, fucking 10 years of my life as this fucking character.
Well, and it's something that'll make sense that you're always associated with, and there is always that connection to it. House. Monk. Captain Jean-Luc Picard. I
don't have words for you, Patrick.
I barely have words for me, so don't worry about it.
Hey, well, we have whiskey for each other.
Yeah, whiskey's better than words. It fills those empty spaces where we used to talk. To quote Pink Floyd. How should I spend?
How should I sponge cake?
Oh, I was watching this ridiculous British cooking show. It's all about bakers, and they bake out in the countryside in this weird tent.
For sure.
But it was really beautiful baking. But they were baking these Hungarian torts that had like 30 layers of extremely thin sponge cake with like sauce in between. Oh my god! I thought I was going to die.
It's almost like folding like a pastry dough type thing, but with sponge cake.
No, like truly like sponge cake, but like each sponge cake
I'm just
baked.
Equating the two, not to.
It's it-ish, but there's no folding.
Okay.
Like, it's literally just, like, perfectly square, like, quarter-inch thick thing of sponge cake. Chocolate ganache.
Huh.
Tiny thin layer of sponge cake. Hazelnut ganache. Tiny thin layer of sponge cake. Caramel. Tiny thin layer of sponge cake. Like, totally absurd for, like, 30
delicious.
layers. Like, absurdity. Absurdity. I'm sorry, you brought up sponge cake. I had to bring it up because I thought I was going to die staring at that screen. I was like getting that diabetes.
To quote B from Grandma's Boy, I just want to eat the TV.
That accurate. And I think that the main characters of Family Guy could appreciate that as well. I think that all of them enjoy a good solid meal.
Yeah, and as long as they don't leave Brian with the fucking roast and then Peter's fucking janky ass fucking play fire extinguisher, it's all good.
I mean, yes. That I had totally forgotten about that sequence. Wow. I'm reliving it now in exquisite, excruciating detail. Flappy's flapjacks, Flappy's pancakes. I think our meal fit for any king. Must be
when they open the diner and then they kick out all the handicapped people and the handicapped.
Oh my god! Turn into the fucking, what do they call it? It's like Crippletron or something.
Probably.
Yeah. No, I love that, and the shrieking that of like coming out of Joe's mouth.
Just some of the random shit from that.
No, pure.
You have a mustache. You can speak Italian now.
Beebity bobbity boobity. Peter, just don't. Cake coals on?
The thing that I find funny too is Family Guy is so prolific that some of the people that even self-proclaim to hate Family Guy will quote it at you.
Yeah, and not even necessarily realize that they're quoting it.
It's penetrated that far into the core of American culture and what it is. The other thing that I find is interesting,
the zeitgeist,
is that it can totally like influence things to an extent. Like Family Guy says this is bad, therefore it's bad.
Yeah,
it's something that truly shocked me, and it was something that surprised me a little bit with the passing away of Robin Williams, is they'd ragged on Robin Williams so much, and then he passed away, and I figured, this might be how the majority of America sees Robin Williams, and then there was like this outpouring of love and emotion for him.
Well, but there are weird things about it where, like, I'm dead convinced that is part of why Aquaman has become a joke over the last 15 years, is there's been a bunch of jokes about Aquaman. And Aquaman, if you've actually read any of the fucking comics, is not useless.
No, he's a complete badass.
And it drives me crazy.
He can punch through walls.
Yes. Like, guy has, he's superhuman. And they act, and there was something that bothered me, because it was like, okay, I get it, you were making the joke off of that one thing, but now all of these people think that they know about the character and make the joke about the character without realizing that was purely a badly researched Family Guy joke, which is part of the joke from Family Guy, is that a ton of their jokes are poorly researched. It's based off of one particular thing.
I don't know that it was poorly researched so much as it was like, well, this is a thing that's funny and it'll work because it's... not that we don't know about it, but the majority of people out there
that's true
don't know about it.
That's very true.
And even if they do know about it, there's a majority that are going to agree with are making fun of it.
That's true.
And I'm not necessarily going to go down the road that, they hate everything they make fun of, because I don't think that's true of fucking anybody who, does anything comedic related. There's
Joaquin
a certain
Phoenix, if you're still watching, you're a good sport. And you can be our friend.
There's a certain amount of love that goes into the jokes, too.
Yes. But I mean, I do definitely love their ability. That is very true. And most of the stuff they mock, they do actually have a certain amount of respect for, and it's obvious in terms of doing the satire. The same way that, like, being mocked on South Park is like, right. I've made it in the media, like, awesome. They mocked me on South Park. Booyah. And I also just love weird little facts, like the fact that, you know the joke with, it's like, yeah, that's why you never play Spoopel with Spoopel champion Void Flanderplurg. And so they did the whole sketch. And the next 24 hours, the top search on Google worldwide was Spoopel Floyd Vanderplurg. Beautiful.
Yeah. No, and again, I mean, that goes back to the referential comedy, the self-referential comedy. And I'm much more okay with that when it's not punctuated by look it up.
Yeah.
Like...
Which is just like, we all know that it's a reference. Alright.
Yeah, and either it's funny on its own or it's not. And if I'm going to look it up, I'm going to look it up. Fuck you, don't tell me what to do. You're not my real dad, Seth MacFarlane.
Which is the beauty of anything on television, is that it's like, I definitely feel that reaction of, it's like, you've told me to do this. I will specifically do the opposite because I hate you. And I'm bad with authority and planning.
Okay.
And on that note, I think this has been a wonderful, solid...
I don't know if it's solid, but it's certainly been a journey, and thank you for being there with us.
So to all of you wonderful people out there, have a beautiful, beautiful holiday season. Join us next time for Pagans. And in the meanwhile, remember, these two big dudes encourage you to drink responsibly or something.
And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your view, we're not going to play Conway Twitty at you for the next 2 minutes.
And now...
Take it easy, folks.
I can almost hear the silence.
Don't do it, Patrick.
As it yields
Don't do it, Patrick.
to the sound
Don't do it.
of your heart beating.
Oh, hell no! I ain't getting out of bed today.